He started.
ॐ ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तं हदेवम् आत्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. Okay. So we finished. Okay. Okay. So window, Chrome tab, window. Okay, we make it Chrome. Yeah, share. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've shared the text. Uh, we had completed up to 294 in the last week. 294, right? That Pratyagatma, that's where we stopped. Okay, so anybody having any questions? Anyone wants to start some discussion, or can we simply move on to the next sloka? No one? Okay, I presume because of the silence, nobody has any questions. So let's go to 295. Please repeat after me. Vikarinam
Vikarinam
sarva vikara veta
Sarva Vikaraveta
Sarvavikarveta
nitya vikaro
Nitya Vikaro
Nityavikaro
bhavitum samarhati
Bhavitum
Vitum
Samarhati
Samhati
manoratha swapna
Manoratha Swapna
Swapna
sushuptishu
Sushuptishu
Sushupti
sputam
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 punah punaha
Puna Punaha
Mahpuna
drishtam
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 asatvam
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 etayoho.
Etayoho
Etayoho
Okay, so vikarinam sarva vikara veta nitya vikaro bhavitum samarhati manoratha swapna sushuptishu sputam punah punar drishtam asatvam etayoho. Okay, so vikari means that which undergoes a change, that which is subject to change. And here it is a reference to the Sthula Sukshma Karana Shariram, the gross body, subtle body, and causal body, which are associated with the three states: waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. Okay. So the physical body undergoes a lot of change. So that is known to everybody. The subtle body also undergoes a lot of change because subtle body consists of pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya. So when you are energetic and when you are tired, that's a change. When you are agitated and when you are peaceful, that's a change. When you are happy and when you are not happy, that's a change. So all these are changes in the subtle body. And the Karana Shariram, really speaking, you cannot identify any change because in the Karana Shariram, which you experience during deep sleep state, it is all one darkness. So you really cannot differentiate between the darkness this way or that way. But then from our experience, we know that sometimes our deep sleep state was very good. You had a very peaceful sleep. Sometimes you had a very disturbed sleep. And then, of course, the deep sleep state becomes dream state and goes back into deep sleep. So there are changes from and to Karana Shariram. Okay, so when we say change, it is not change within one body alone. It is change from one body to the other and back to the same body. So all these are changes. Okay, so Sarva Vikara Veta. Veta means one who is aware of, one who knows. No, Veta means knower. Sarva Vikara Veta means one who is aware of all the changes in the changing three bodies. That is the first line. Then second line, Nitya Avikaraha. Avikaraha means without any change. Without undergoing any change, that is Avikaraha. Nitya means always. It also means continuously. Okay, so that refers to the consciousness, Chaitanyam. So the Chaitanyam never undergoes a change. That I feeling, that awareness, that witness nature is never ceasing. No, you are aware of all your thoughts and you are aware of the absence of thoughts also. You are aware of all your dreams and you are aware of the absence of dreams also. See, you may not remember the dream. That's a different thing. You may not remember the details of the dream, but when you are dreaming, you are aware of the dream. So you know that you had a dream. Okay, to that extent, the Chaitanyam is a witness to everything that goes on, whether it is in the wakeful state or dream state or deep sleep state. So it is a Nitya Avikaraha, but Sarva Vikara Veta. While it itself doesn't undergo any change, it is aware of all the changes. And it is one point we have to note. Whenever we talk about a change, the change is always measured with reference to something that does not change. If everything is changing, it is very difficult to say what is changing, what is not changing. Okay, so you can talk about a change only when something which never changes is available, and then with reference to that entity which doesn't undergo a change, you can say there is a plus or minus or whatever change. Okay, so a simple example, we all see the maps. Maps are there. The maps are produced by conducting surveys. So civil engineers conduct all the surveys, and when they conduct a survey, especially of mountains, plateaus and plains, they are measuring the altitude. They always measure the altitude with reference to sea level, because the sea level, at least in theory, is not supposed to change. So whenever you say a particular mountain is 5,000 meters high or 3,000 meters high, that height reference is always with reference to the sea level. So one example, so sea level doesn't change, and so you measure with reference to the sea level. Similarly, all the changes that we experience is perceptible to us because the consciousness, the Chaitanyam which observes these changes, never undergoes a change. So it is Nitya Avikaraha. Bhavitum Samarhati. Okay. So it is a sort of a corollary, one can say. If the Chaitanyam is aware of all the changes, then it is understood or it is concluded that the Chaitanyam is Avikaraha. Bhavitum Samarhati means it is capable of being Avikaraha. That's what it means. Okay. So the consciousness which is aware of all the changes is incapable of being changeless. In fact, it is not being capable. It is the nature of consciousness to be changeless. Even if consciousness wants to change, it cannot change because it is infinite. It is beyond space and time. So changing means it has to undergo a change within space and time, but since consciousness is beyond space and time, it cannot change. It is akarta nirvikaraha. Okay, that is a fundamental. Then third line, manoratha swapna sushuptishu sphutam. Manoratha here refers to the thoughts that one has during waking state. And the thought can be a deliberate thought, or it can even be a kind of a daydreaming thought. All of that you can put under the manoratham umbrella. Swapna refers to the dream. Sushupti refers to the deep sleep. Sputam means clear, very clear. So what the Acharya says here is that the Chaitanyam is a witness to everything is inferred from your experiences in the waking, dream and sleep states. And that is very clearly demonstrated. Punah punaha. Punah punaha means repeatedly, again and again and again. And drishtam asatvam etayoho. Asatvam here actually means temporary nature or impermanent nature. Normally asatvam we say something which is non-existent. That is the normal meaning for asatvam. But here the word asatvam is used in a slightly very special meaning. It is the temporary or impermanent nature of the three bodies, and which is something I explained in the last class. In your wakeful state, you don't experience your dream body or deep sleep karana shariram. In your dream state, you don't experience your waking body or your deep sleep karana shariram. In karana shariram, you don't experience the other two bodies. So each body is mutually exclusive from the other. So they come and go. But what does not come and go and what is permanent across all the three states is your awareness, chaitanyam, consciousness. So that asatvam here refers to the incidental nature or impermanent nature of the three sharirams and the three states. Yeah. So this is just to reinforce the idea that chaitanyam does not undergo a change and the bodies undergo a lot of change. So the question is, what is your true nature? Is your true nature the gross body or the subtle body or the causal body, or is that the chaitanyam which is beyond these three? Okay, so there is this concept of inherent property and incidental property. Yeah, inherent property and incidental property. Inherent property is that property which never leaves that object. For instance, fire. Fire, inherent property is its heat. You cannot have cold fire. By definition, it's not possible. Fire always means hot. The moment you have fire, it is hot. So heat is an inherent property of fire, whereas heat is not an inherent property of water. Water gets hot when you apply fire to it. But once you remove the fire, the water cools down. So water has heat as an incidental property, that which comes and goes. So when you talk about yourself, your own individual self, the question is, what is your true nature? The true nature has to be an inherent property. It should not be an incidental property that comes and goes. And in this shloka, and also from experience, we know that the waking body, dream bodies, the sleeping, deep sleep body, they all come and go. They are not inherent. If the dream body is inherent, we will always be dreaming. We will never wake up. And if the waking body is inherent, we will never fall asleep. We will always be awake. So the very fact that we fall asleep and we dream and then we wake up tells us that all these three bodies are incidental, and the inherent nature is the chaitanyam that is a witness to all the three states and all the three bodies. That is the meaning and corollary or teaching of this particular shloka. Okay, I think that was pretty straightforward. Any questions? Anybody wants to make any comments, observations? Please feel free. Okay, or can we move on? Oh, I really appreciate it if someone says yes or no or whatever.
Yes, sir, I think from my side
Yeah.
we can move on.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. Great. Then we'll go to 296. Yeah. Again, please repeat after me. Atobhimanam
Atobhimanam
tyaja mamsapinde
tyaja
Tyaja
mansapinde
mansapinde
pindabhimanini
pindabhimanini
api
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 buddhi kalpite
buddhi kalpite
kalpite
kalatrayabadhyam
kalatrayabadhyam
kalatrayavadyam
akhandabodham
akhandabodham
kantrabodham
jnatva swatmanam
ज्ञात्वा
yatva
स्वात्मानम्
svatmanam
upaihi shantim.
उपैहि
upaihi
शान्तिम्
shantim.
अतोभिमानं त्यज मांसपिंडे पिंडाभिमानिन्यपि बुद्धि कल्पिते कालत्रयाबाध्यम अखंडबोधम ज्ञात्वा स्वमात्मानम उपैहि शांतिम. Swatmanam. I think I said swatmanam or something. It's not swatmanam. Swamatmanam. Jnatva swamatmanam upaihi shanti. Okay, so abhimanam. Abhimanam means here attachment. Normally, the word abhimanam is also used to indicate some kind of an arrogance or pride and all that. But here the word abhimanam is used to mean attachment. Ataha. Ataha means therefore. Therefore means because of the message from the previous shloka that your three sharirams are incidental. They are not your inherent nature. Okay. So therefore, tyaja. Tyaja means give up. Give up, leave. Abhimanam tyaja. So give up your attachment on what? Mamsapinde. So mamsapindam means a clump of flesh. You know, mamsam is flesh. Pindam is a lump or clump. So Acharya is referring to the body as a clump of flesh. Okay. So from time to time, you will see the Acharya using these kind of words. In fact, in the next shloka, the language will get even stronger. Okay. And then in some shlokas before, we also saw that he referred to the body as a collection of some filth and all that. So it is not to denigrate the body. So what we should understand is it is not meant to denigrate or devalue the body. It is to instill in us some kind of a distance between us and our body so that we don't get too attached to the body. The body is all said and done. It's an instrument. It's an instrument that you use to achieve certain end. So it is not you. It is so it should not be an object of ahankara or mamakara. We have these two words in Sanskrit, ahankara and mamakara. So ahankara means to identify oneself with something. Okay, to identify oneself with something. And mamakara means it is the attachment to something because it belongs to you. The word mama means my, my in English. So we, commonly in the world, everybody has attachment to a lot of things. The people are attached to the members of their family, their spouse, their children, their grandchildren, their parents, their brothers, sisters. Okay, or their friends, their properties, their position, their qualifications. We have attachment to so many things. So all those are mamakaras. And sometimes when the attachment becomes extreme, you no longer think it is mine, but you think it is you. It is your identity. You think this is my identity. Okay, so that is extreme ahankara, mamakara. When it takes you over, lessons like this are useful to develop some distance, some emotional distance, not physical distance, but emotional distance. So for that reason, the Acharya uses this kind of a language from time to time. Mamsa pindam. So he calls the body a clump of flesh. And pindabhimanini api buddhi kalpite. Okay, so mamsa pindam refers to the physical body, sthula shariram. Pinda abhimanini refers to the sukshma karana shariram. Because the attachment is actually a product of your emotions, which is again a property of the mind. See, consciousness does not have any emotions. Consciousness is nirgunam. All the emotions that we experience are all from the mind. So the abhimanini here refers to the sukshma shariram, the mind, the emotional faculty. So you have to distance your abhimanam from the mind also. So at one level, you drop your attachment to the physical body, you treat it as an instrument, and you treat your body, this mind and intellect also as an instrument, and reduce your abhimanam or attachment. And he says it is buddhi kalpite. Buddhi kalpitam refers to the abhimanam. So the abhimanam is actually a product of the mind. Kalpitam means that which is superimposed. Yeah. So the emotions that go with the attachment are all superimposed on the mind. That also should be overcome. Then, third line, kalatraya abadhyam akhanda bodham. Both of these words refer to the chaitanyam or the consciousness. Kalatraya abadhyam. Abadhyam means that which is not obstructed. Badhyam means that which is obstructed. Abadhyam means that which is not obstructed. That means what? You experience the same I. When I say I am talking about the alphabet I, or in Hindi, ma. Okay, or in Marathi it is me. No? I think you people say me. Yeah. So in Tamil it is non. So that I, aham, yeah, that I feeling which comes from the chaitanyam or consciousness is never changing. It is always the same. You had the same feeling of I 25 years back or 35 years back, and you are having it exactly the same way today, and you will have the same I feeling for the next several years. As long as the person is alive, that I is never changing. So it is kalatraya abadhyam. It is not changing in time. And akhanda bodham. And akhanda means uninterrupted. There is not even a microsecond of your existence where you do not have that feeling of I. It is ever with you. In the Upanishads and in many of the Puranas, there is a phrase that is used. It is also used in Aditya Hridayam. Esha supteshu jagarti. That means it is awake even when you are sleeping. And consciousness is awake even when you are sleeping. So it is incessantly illuminating all your experiences. So it is akhanda bodham. Bodham means awareness. Okay. Then jnatva. Jnatva means by understanding. And understanding here means by going through Sravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. That is jnatva, by acquiring Brahma Vidya, by acquiring Atma Vidya. Swatmanam upaihi shantim. Jnatva swatmanam. So jnatva goes with swatmanam. So understand your true nature. Understand your inherent nature. Not the incidental nature, but the inherent nature. And shantim upaihi. And through that process, be peaceful. And all these slokas we are seeing, they are part of the Nididhyasanam section, and the result of successful Nididhyasanam is that one would feel complete peace of mind. That peace of mind which results from Nididhyasanam, we call Brahma Vidya Phalam. It is a fruit of Brahma Vidya. So whenever we talk about Anubhavam, it is the peace that you experience out of Nididhyasanam that we call Anubhavam. Otherwise, your Atma cannot be experienced as an object. It is only the peace and tranquility that arises out of this Nididhyasanam that can be experienced, because that peace is residing in the mind, and the mind can be objectified. Okay, so upaihi shantim, so remain peaceful. That is 296. Okay. Can we move on to 297? Anybody? Any questions?
Okay.
Okay. Right. 297. We'll read. Yeah. Tyajabhimanam.
Yajabhimanam.
Tyajabhimanam.
Tyajabhimanam.
Tyajabhimanam. Yeah. Tyajabhimanam.
Tyajabhimanam.
Kulagotra nama.
Kulagotra
Nama.
Rupashrameshu.
Rupashrameshu.
Ardra shavashriteshu.
Ardra Shavashriteshu.
Actually, that Kulagotra Nama Rupashrameshu is one word. Okay, but I split it just so that it's easy on your tongue. Okay, that's fine. Lingasya dharmanapi
Lingasya dharmanapi.
kartrutadin
Kartrutadin.
tyaktva bhava
Tyaktva bhava.
akhanda sukha swarupaha.
Akhanda sukha swarupaha.
Okay, so Tyajabhimanam Kulagotra Nama Rupashrameshwardra Shavashriteshu Lingasya Dharmanapi Kartrutadin Tyaktva Bhavakhanda Sukha Swarupa. Okay, so the Tyaja word is common to this shloka and the previous shloka. So there it said Abhimanam Tyaja. So the Tyaja came after Abhimanam. Here the Tyaja comes before Abhimanam. So basically the same message. Tyaja Abhimanam. Give up your attachment. Attachment to what? Kula, Gotra, Nama, Rupa, Ashrameshu. So the Acharya gives a list of attributes which can eventually cause this attachment. So Kulam refers to the family or Parampara, Vamsha as we call it. Yeah. Gotra. Gotra is a superset of Kulam or Parampara, because there could be several Vamshas having the same Gotram also. Okay, so Gotram is more pervasive than Kulam. Okay, then Nama. Nama means name, but here it is not really literally the name, it is like reputation. All of us, we are proud of a certain reputation that we may have in the society and all that. So that is Nama Abhiman. Then Rupa. This is very common. People are very proud about their physical beauty or handsomeness or physical prowess and all that. Okay, so Rupa and Ashrameshu. So Ashrama refers to what we call the Varnashrama Dharma. You have Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa and all that. So in today's world, nobody has any ashrama based Abhimanam, because all the Vedic karmas have taken a back seat. But back in Shankaracharya's days, there was this subtle tug of war between the grihasthas and the sannyasis. No, there were a group of people called Purva Mimamsakas who believed only in karma, and in order to do karma you have to be a grihastha, and they did all the karma specified in the Vedas, and they would look down upon the sannyasis because the sannyasis have given up karma. As a sannyasi, you are not supposed to do any karma. You are completely banned from doing any of the Vedic karma. Okay, so the grihasthas, the Purva Mimamsakas, would look down upon the sannyasis, and sometimes, rarely, the sannyasis may also look down upon the grihasthas, thinking that we are all jnanis and we are free, and you people are still wallowing in samsara, something like that. It's normally not the case, because jnanis know that grihasthas have their own value in society, because ultimately if they want bhiksha, they have to go to grihastha only. Okay, so it is very rare for a sannyasi to look down upon grihastha, but there were a lot of grihasthas in those days who were looking down upon sannyasis. So that is the ashrama abhimana, but today it is not relevant. Okay, so the ardra shavastriteshu is the most damaging statement in this shloka. Shava means a corpse. Shava means a corpse, dead body. Ardra means a wet, something which is wet. And so ardra shava means a wet corpse. And a wet corpse here refers to the living people. Basically, the Acharya wants to say that all those living people who are moving around, at some point they are going to die. In Tamil, we had a poet called Patinathar. I think I mentioned this Patinathar in one of the earlier classes also. So he had written another poem, which I'll tell you in Tamil and then I'll translate it. It runs like this: Setta pinangalai kandu sagum pinangal alvada, or something like that. What that means is, Setta pinangal means the people who are already dead, the dead corpse, and sagum pinangal means the corpse which are in the process of dying. So he refers to the living people as those who are approaching death. So he is probably referring to some funeral scenario where somebody is dying or somebody is dead, and then people are crying over that body. So he is probably describing that scenario. So he calls the living people as people who are in the process of dying. And I mean, in a way that's true, because you may live for 200 years, but at the end of 200 years, one has to die. So we are all approaching death. But that's a very cynical way of looking at it. But here, Acharya uses that word, ardra shava. So all these abhimanam, the Acharya says, are arising out of the body, and this body is nothing but something that will eventually die. That is the meaning. And it is in that context, it is temporary. It is not going to live forever. Okay. So why hang on to all these things when this body is eventually going to go away? So that's a philosophical approach. Okay. So that is the first two lines. Lingasya dharmanapi. So here the word lingam refers to the sukshma shariram. Lingam refers to the sukshma shariram. Normally lingam means an indication or a symbol. You can have different meanings. Okay. So why is the sukshma shariram called linga shariram? Because to know if a person is alive or not, you have to look for some or the other indication, like breathing or pulse or whatever, and breathing, pulse, they are all part of prana, and prana is part of sukshma shariram. Prana is basically sukshma shariram. So the presence of prana, which is part of the sukshma shariram, is an indication that the person is alive. So in that sense, linga shariram means sukshma shariram. So it's a very roundabout meaning, but you will come across this linga shariram in lot of contexts in Vedanta, especially in Advaita Vedanta. So lingasya dharman means all the attributes of the mind and all the attributes of the sukshma sharira, which means your intellect, your qualification, your intelligence, and your ability to control your emotions, all those things, or even your stamina for that matter. Stamina is a part of prana, and prana is part of sukshma sharira. So let's say somebody is a marathon runner. A marathon runner has to have a lot of stamina, or even a 100-meter sprint champion. He has to run very, very fast. So all these are matter of stamina, and that is also part of sukshma shariram. So lingasya dharmanapi kartritadin. Kartrita means that sense of achievement. Oh, I have done this, I have done that. A man of accomplishment. So that pride that I have accomplished so much in life, that is a kartritvam. So even that leads to arrogance and attachment. Leave all that. Tyaktva, by leaving all that, bhava akhanda sukha swarupaha. Akhanda here is akhanda sukham refers to Satchidanandam, Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Akhanda literally refers to the Anantam part. Sukham refers to the Anandam part. Purnatvam. So the Sukham basically comes from the Purnatvam of Atma. So own up your true nature as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Satchidananda Swarupam. That is the 297. Okay. So I hope I did not leave out any important word. Yeah. So if there are any questions, we can have a short discussion. Otherwise, we'll move on to the 298. Are we okay?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Right. Okay. So we'll go to 298. Santi Anye
Stanti anye
Santi anye
Pratibandhaha
pratibandhaha
pratibandhaः
Pumsaha
pumsah
पुंसः
Samsara Hetavo
samsara
संसारहेतवो
hetavo
Trishtaha
दृष्टाः
drishtaha
Teshamevam Moolam
teshamevam
तेषामेवं
moolam
Prathama Vikaro
prathama vikaro
प्रथमविकारः
Bhavati Ahankara.
bhavati
भवति
ahankarah.
Santyanye Pratibandha Pumsah Samsara Hetavo Drishtaha Teshamevam Moolam Prathama Vikaro Bhavatyahankara. Okay, so from this shloka, the Acharya is trying to focus a little more closely on the nature of Ahankara and trying to tell us why overcoming Ahankara is a very important step. Okay. Now, I told you a few minutes back about Ahankara and Mamakara. Okay. Now, Mamakara can be many varieties. You can have some 1,000 different reasons for having that Mamakara attachment. Because, let's imagine somebody like Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos. There are multi-millionaires, multi-billionaires, and they have so much of achievement and so much of interest that each one of those asset or interest or achievement can be a matter of attachment for them. Okay. So you can have a long list of, reasons for your Mamakara, but the Ahankara is still limited to your body-mind complex. So it's a little like your, when you have a concave mirror, when you have not a concave mirror, concave lens, when you have a concave lens, it produces a divergent beam of light. Like that, your Ahankara is a concave lens At the closer to the lens, the light is very closely held. But the farther you go away from the lens, the light is more and more divergent, covering more area. Like that, the mamakara is very, very wide. It occupies a very wide region, but the ahankara is still limited. So if you cut the ahankara, it is easier to control, and all the other mamakaras will get automatically cut off. So that's the idea. Or to give another example, now imagine there is a balloon filled with helium, and it is being tied to the ground using some 1,000 pieces of thread. Okay, so the balloon is somewhere very high up in the sky, and it's a huge balloon, and it is all tied to one point in the ground. There are 1,000 different threads. Now, if you want to release the balloon into the air, it is much easier to cut the threads at the ground level itself, because it's a smaller area where you just cut a few times, it's all getting cut. The higher you go, the distance between the threads will be more. So it's much more effort cutting the balloon from the higher end. Something like that. Yeah. So if you attack the ahankara, the mamakaras are controlled more easily. So that's the reason Acharya now focuses on ahankara. So all these following shlokas, you would see a lot of focus on how to handle ahankara. So pratibandhaha. I am on the second word of the first line. Pratibandhaha means obstacles. Obstacles. Santi anye. Santi means there are. Anye means several, many. There are other obstacles. Pumsaha. Pumsaha here means for the spiritual seeker. Then samsara hetavo drishtaha. Samsara hetu means that which causes samsara, and samsara here means the suffering that one goes through in life. Samsara hetavaha means these are the cause of your sufferings. Okay. So there are different causes that can create suffering for you, and that is a reference to your mamakara. So all the property attachments and relationship attachments are all coming under that samsara hetavo drishtaha pratibandhaha. Tesham evam moolam. Moolam means root cause. There is a root cause for all those pratibandhas, which is prathama vikaro bhavati. Prathama vikaraha. Vikaraha here means product. Normally the word vikara means a change, but here we use the word vikara in the sense of product. Okay, prathama vikara means the first product. And product of what? It is actually the product of ignorance. That is not mentioned in the shloka, but that we have to understand. So it is our ignorance that sort of pushes us to identify ourselves with the body. You know, we really are not the body, but because we are ignorant of that fact, we tend to identify ourselves with the body. So it is a prathama vikara. It is the first product of your ignorance. And after that, the next product is mamakara. All your properties get attached. Okay. So prathama vikaro bhavati ahankara. So the ahankara is the root cause, moolam, of all your samsara problems. Samsara hetavo pratibandhaha. So your ahankara is the root cause. So you have to know how to handle and attack your root cause. So this is a pratigya shloka. Pratigya shloka means you make a declaration, and then the following shlokas you elaborate on that idea. So all the following shlokas will be an elaboration of this idea that your ahankara is your root cause of your suffering, and so if you control your ahankara, your suffering will be controlled and you can be more and more peaceful. So that is the 298 pratigya shlokam. Okay, is that clear? Should I say anything more on this? No?
It's clear, sir.
Right. In that case, we'll go to 299. 299. Yavat syat
यावत् स्यात्
swasya sambandha
त्वस्य
वस्य
सम्बन्धः
सम्बन्धः
ahankarena duratmana.
अहङ्कारेण
अहङ्कारेण दुरात्मना
दुरात्मना
Tavanna
तावन्न
तापन्न
leshamatrapi
लेशमात्रमपि
लेशमात्रापि
muktivarta vilakshana.
मुक्तिवार्ता
मुक्तिवार्ता
विलक्षणा
विलक्षणा
यावत् स्यात् स्वस्य सम्बन्धोऽहङ्कारेण दुरात्मना तावन्न लेशमात्रापि muktivarta vilakshana. Okay, so the word yavat means until such time. Yavat is until such time. So the second line has tavat. Tavat means until that time. So this yavat and tavat will generally come in pair. So until such time x, y, z, until that time a, b, c, d. So cause effect. That is how the teaching goes. So yavat syat swasya sambandha ahankarena duratmana. Sambandha means connection, relationship. Sambandha ahankarena duratmana. So as long as you are connected to your ahankara, which the acharya here calls a duratma. Duratma means a bad element, a mischievous element. Okay, or what you call today troublemaking element. Duratmana. So the ahankara, it's like, if you are in the company of bad people, you get into trouble. So ahankara, if you are very closely attached to ahankara, it will get you into trouble. Okay, until you are closely associated with your ahankara, you can be assured that trouble will always be with you. Okay, tavat, until then, leshamatrapi. Lesham means even a little bit, a wee bit. In English we have say not even an iota of something. That not even a small quantity of something, that is leshamatrapi. So muktivarta vilakshana. Muktivarta means, mukti here means liberation. Mukti is liberation or freedom, and freedom here represents security, happiness, all that. Freedom in the Vedantic sense, at least, freedom means you are free from worries, you're free from all insecurities. Okay, that is mukti. So varta here means a word. Mukti varta means you can't even utter the word mukti. That's what literally it means. Until such time you are strongly connected to your ahankara, you cannot even utter the word mukti, which is vilakshana. Vilakshana means it is different. Different from what? Whenever you say different, you have to say different from what? So it is in one angle, this mukti is associated with chaitanyam, which is different from ahankara. That is one way of looking at the vilakshana word. So you are talking about a mukti which is possible only when you identify with your chaitanyam, chaitanya swarupam, and the chaitanya swarupam is different from ahankara. So it is like, two opposites cannot coexist in the same locus. No, you cannot be fat and lean at the same time. You cannot be short and tall at the same time. Yeah, so like that, you cannot be associated with ahankara and be free at the same time. You have to give up this for that. So that is vilakshana in one angle. And vilakshana also means mukti gives you peace of mind, which is different from the all the trouble that you go through when you are associated with ahankara. So that is also, the outcome also is different. So there is a difference in the entity that causes mukti, and there is a difference in the effect of, if you are associated with ahankara, effect is trouble. If you are associating yourself with chaitanyam, the effect is peace. So you can say vilakshana in both angles. Okay, so the basic idea is, if you want mukti through which you want peace of mind, you have to give up your ahankara. How you will give up ahankara, the acharya will show in the later shlokas. But here the basic idea is, you have to release yourself from your ahankara. That identification with the body mind complex is very important. It's an important ingredient of all your troubles. And once you remove that, in some of the earlier shlokas of Vivek Chudamani, which we have not seen because they come in the very early part, about shloka number 30 onwards up to 200, there is a section which describes all the bodies, all the three sharirams and all that. There, very often the acharya uses the crocodile as an example to equate attachment. Just like how the crocodile can, catch you and not leave you, and once the crocodile catches you, it's very difficult to get released from crocodile. Similarly, this ahankara is compared to crocodile in the earlier part of Vivek Chudamani. So that is the level of caution that the acharya has given in the Vivek Chudamani earlier parts also. Ahankara is something that has to be very assiduously avoided. Okay, so that idea will come in the following shlokas. In fact, the next shloka itself, you have that word graha. Yeah, right. So 299 I have finished. So if you are okay, we'll go to 300. Or does anyone have any comments or questions? No one?
Proceed, sir.
Okay, great. So 300. Ahankara grahat
अहङ्कारग्रहात्
muktah
मुक्तः
swarupam upapadyate.
Swarupam
उपपद्यते
upapadyate.
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 Chandravat vimalah.
Chandravat
तवद् विमल
Vimalaha.
It's not dvimalaha, it is Chandravat vimalaha becomes Chandravat vimalaha.
Okay, Chandravat Vimalaha.
Purnaha sadanandaha
Purnaha Sadanandaha.
swayam prabhaha.
Swayam Prabhaha.
Ahankara grahan muktah swarupam upapadyate Chandravat vimalah purnaha sadanandaha swayam prabhaha. Okay, so here the example that the acharya is taking is that of the lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipse. So ahankara grahan muktaha is like, when the lunar eclipse happens, imagine there is a total lunar eclipse. So for some time the moon is completely hidden by the shadow of the earth, and then the moon emerges from the shadow, and slowly the complete moon becomes visible. Okay, let's say the lunar eclipse, the duration is about 1 hour. At the end of that 1 hour, the moon emerges completely from the eclipse or the shadow, and it is then very bright. It's very bright and pleasant to look at. Okay, so that is the example. So here the shadow of the earth which causes the eclipse is compared to the ahankara, and our Chaitanya Swarupam, our true nature, which is the Chaitanya Swarupam, is compared to the moon. Okay, so as long as we are in the grip of Ahankara, our true nature of Chaitanya Swarupam is not evident to us, exactly like how the moon is hidden behind the shadow of the earth. And once you free yourself from Ahankara, the Chaitanya Swarupam emerges and you are able to enjoy the Anandam that it represents. So that Anandam is compared to the Anandam or happiness that you experience by looking at the full moon after it has emerged from the eclipse. So that is the parallel. Yeah. So this is a very poetic way of describing how the jnani feels once he has experienced the power of that knowledge of one's true nature. That Swarupam means one's true nature. And that Swarupam is applicable to the moon also. It is applicable to our Chaitanyam also. Our Swarupam is Chaitanyam. So Upapadyate means it is available. It is available. See, our Swarupam has always been available. It is not that, we did not have a Swarupam till yesterday and today after Jnanam, suddenly the Swarupam came from somewhere. No, the Swarupam has always been there, but we were not aware of it. It was hidden from our awareness. And here I think we gave the example of Karna in one of the earlier classes also. So Karna had this problem that he was not a Kshatriya. Really speaking, he was a Kshatriya because he was Kunti's son, but he didn't know that. So he always had this inferiority complex that he was not a Kshatriya. And then just before the Mahabharata battle, Kunti comes to him and then tells him, you are really my son. So, don't fight any of the other 4 brothers, you fight only with Arjuna. So some kind of a agreement she gets from Karna. So after that conversation with Kunti, Karna now has become a Kshatriya, become within quotes, because he didn't really become a Kshatriya. He was always a Kshatriya, but he now knows that he is a Kshatriya. Similarly, we also, our true nature has been Brahman Chaitanyam all along, but we were not aware of it. We now realize that we are Brahman, we are Chaitanyam, and that gives us the Anandam, exactly like how the Chandravat Vimalaha. Chandravat means just like the moon. Vimalaha means pure, without any blemish. Purnaha means complete in all respects. Tadanandaha, Tada Anandaha. It is a source of joy. That Purnatvam gives us the joy. So it is not a joy that comes from some external object, but it is a joy that comes from within by the knowledge that we are complete in all respect. That Purnatvam gives rise to Ananda. Swayam Prabha. Swayam Prabha means that which shines on its own. Now, the Swayam Prabha is not actually a very apt word for moon, because the moon, really speaking, has no light of its own. The moon actually has a reflected light. But here, for a limited sense, we take it that because the moon is shining, we can take it as Swayam Prabha. Yeah? Yes, sir. Paddy. You can unmute and talk. You raised your hand.
No, sir, you continue. Maybe I'll ask.
Sorry,
later.
you raised your hand by mistake or what?
Yeah, by mistake. Just continue, please.
Oh, okay. Right. I thought you had a question or comment. Anyway, so that was the comparison between the lunar eclipse and the Ahankara covering our true nature. Okay. I think the example is quite simple and easy to understand. And I'm sure many of you would have, almost all of you would have experienced the lunar eclipse, releasing the moon and all that. So it's also not some exotic example. It's a very common example. So that is fine. So that was complete. 300 we completed with that, and we also reached 9 o'clock. So it's a good time to stop the class today. If there are no questions, we will chant our yes, ma'am, Manjari ji.
So just a small question, maybe I'm just confusing too many concepts, but when we talk about ahankara, is the swabhava part of ahankara? Does it stem from there?
What do you actually mean by swabhava part of ahankara?
Like, I was just thinking that if there are some species sitting next to each other, everybody will have their own individuality, like a snake and a man and a tiger or something. And the awareness that I'm a snake, I'm a tiger, I'm a man, and then natural that whatever their swabhava is to act according to their nature. Is that part of ahankara or is it not?
Yeah. So this is actually a very good question, and it requires a fairly detailed answer. But what I would like to say here is the word ahankara we use here in a sort of technical sense. Okay. And it is ahankara here refers to a strong attachment to your body, mind, intellect, that bundle. Okay. Now, to operate in this world, to operate in this transactional world, you require certain minimum ahankara. Okay. You cannot get rid of your ahankara completely. That is not possible. Okay. So you do require some residual ahankara to carry on with life. And that is not bad because it is required. It is essential. But what we are talking here about reducing or dropping ahankara is to avoid an excessive attachment to anything. Okay, so for instance, I'll give you a very simple example of how the ahankara is required. Yeah, we all get up in the morning and automatically, we go to the bathroom, we brush our teeth, and then we probably drink some water or coffee or tea or whatever, and then we go to again we take a bath, shower, and do all that. Now, when you brush your teeth, you must have sufficient ahankara to know that this is my hand, this is my toothbrush, this is my toothpaste, this is my mouth. So I should put my toothbrush, brush into my mouth. So all those things happen automatically. Really speaking, you need a certain elementary ahankara to do all that. You don't put the toothbrush into somebody else's mouth. I'm just stretching the example a little bit. Similarly, when you're eating, you are very careful to put the food in your mouth and not in the mouth of the person sitting next to you. So at that level, you have an ahankara. That ahankara is necessary. Okay. So those are all operative ahankaras which you cannot really get rid of. And that is not bad. That is required for your survival. But what we are here saying is the excessive ahankara, which leads to all sorts of conflicts and all sorts of emotional problems. That is what we are saying that has to be avoided. Okay, so when you say, that the snake has the feeling that I am a snake and all that, really, I don't know if the snake has that feeling. I don't know if the snakes are self-aware. Okay,
That's just a hypothetical.
yeah, I mean, I get that. So, if as long as the animal in question has some kind of a self-awareness, like for instance, I am told elephants have a self-awareness. So if you show a mirror to the elephant, apparently the elephant can recognize that it is its own reflection. Okay, but I don't know whether tigers and lions or even dogs have that self-awareness, because if you show a mirror to the dog, it will start barking, thinking that it's another dog. Okay, so there is, at the animal level, we don't have to worry because animals don't come and learn Vivek Chudamani. Okay, so we have to worry about human beings, and human beings require a certain minimum ahankara without which they cannot survive. And we are not worried about that ahankara. That is necessary. We are only talking about excessive ahankara, which will lead to conflicts and emotional problems. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Great. Okay. So, can we then close today's class? Like, can we chant the closing shloka? Yeah. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Sarvesham Swastirbhavatu Sarvesham Shantirbhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarvepi Sukhinas Santu Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I have one question. Maybe you can stop the recording, Shvetambari. Stop the recording.
Yes, sir. Just give me a second.
Yeah. So I see one new participant, Gani Kadali. So is she part of the Adhyatmavari group, or did you join
Yes.
through Parayanam?
I'm part of the